Welcome everyone. So today I'm extra excited about this video because we're going to be exploring and entering the old abandoned school. While of course I never went to school here, it is very dear to me because my grandfather studied here, his parents, and so on and so forth. I also have my share of memories at this school. We used to come play here as kids all day and at night, really. I mean, scary stories, you name it. So I've been getting some very nice comments from you guys saying you'd like to hear a bit more about me and my story, which is very exciting. So I'll do my best to share as much history as possible and a little bit about myself. Not so good. Hang on a second. I'm sorry, but no one can get me out of here. These are the first steps. This is where the school, a long time ago, would enter. Imagine kids running in through here, literally through here, to their schoolrooms. Now I'm stepping here calmly because I know that down is about, I don't know, a couple feet. So I'm not too scared that it's going to kill me. However, generally speaking, you should be a little bit, careful. Here we are. Okay. I'm going to add a bit of voiceovering here because I'm very preoccupied while filming this to not be heard or seen by any of the grandmas or grandpas because I still get scolded for going inside of the school just because it's dangerous. They're right, but nothing was going to keep me out. I've been going inside since I was little, so I know the ins and outs of the school. Yes, it changes, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. I really want to show you guys. It's an amazing school. I mean, really, how often do you see this? Well, there is quite a bit of mystery revolving the school, starting with when it was constructed. I've been asking around and nobody seems to know. It's really weird. I remember asking my grandfather years ago and I feel like he gave me an answer, but unfortunately I didn't write it down and he's no longer with us. So I can't tell you the exact year it was constructed, but I can tell you is my grandpa was born in 1927 and he went to school here from elementary to middle school. He was actually born, funny story, in the bathroom, the current bathroom of our house right here in the village. So he was not born in a hospital. He was born right here in the village with the help of the local doctor and the villagers. And the school was well in working order long before my grandpa studied here. So we are getting close to the 100-year mark. My assumption is that it is much older than that, but that's as far as I was able to trace back. Now, my grandma and grandpa got married in 1952, and she said that she specifically remembers seeing teachers and students at the school. So in terms of how long it was working, there were still teachers in 1952. And I have a friend of mine who is now 40 who studied in the school when he was little, I think up to 4th grade. So it worked for a pretty long time. Now, as we walk through, I don't know about you guys, but I always get such a strange feeling. It's like I can almost feel the kids that used to walk through these corridors. Believe it or not, there were so many kids back then that there were 2 entrances to this school. So the entrance that we walked through was not the front entrance. That was actually the side entrance. The front entrance is what you just saw in front of those staircases. And out front, there were big letters, a few still remain, that would say the name of the school. The school's name was proudly written on these metal squares. Nothing really remains of them anymore. There's a couple here and there. I remember when we were little, we would collect them and bring them home because we thought they were just so cool. And remember, school back then was a privilege. Not everyone got to go to school. I spoke to my grandma yesterday asking about the history, and she told me that my great-grandparents saved up long and hard just to be able to buy my grandpa a special new suit because he was going to school. That's how big of a deal it was. Kids also traveled from pretty far just to go to school, through snow, through heat. They would walk miles and miles a day just to go to school. So not only did the school teach the kids of our village, but also the upper village and another village, which is officially the last village in our area in Bulgaria. But we're gonna go to the next. Hang on, I'm sorry. 1 sec. Okay. There we are. We just skipped a few because I know there's 2, 3 that will definitely fall. Looks like they won't, but they will. They absolutely will. Trust me, I've fallen. We've actually fixed them. These are all intact. And imagine kids long ago would walk up the stairs here and go to school. It's amazing. Wow. I'm sorry, I paused. It's just really sad. It's really sad. Okay, back to voiceover. I got really emotional when I saw this because this whole thing was built by hand, and I knew it was in a bad state, but I hadn't seen it so bad. What I'm pointing to right now is a little room that we used to go to as kids where we would bring our lunch and eat there and pretend that we were living back in the day. And now you can't even get there. We used to play here, not to mention all the kids that went to school. I mean, it's horrible. The sheer amount of effort that went into building this, the amount of pride, and then the fact that the whole village got to the state because people just couldn't afford living on the farm anymore because they had to go to cities and make something of a decent living, if you can call it decent even. I feel like a lot of kids that, in my generation take school for granted. We hop on the bus, we just went to school, that's it. I even hear stories about kids disrespecting their teachers and so on and so forth. So it's just a different time. Back then, teachers were highly respected. My grandma was a Russian teacher, and that is one of the proudest things that she's done. She's very proud of her job, as she should be. So the remnants of the green that you see there on the walls is typical of socialist buildings. Those of you who have seen socialist buildings before are familiar will know. Pretty typical, very typical. Pretty much all of them have it. Those circles that you see in the wall were for stoves, so to heat. And school carried on, rain, snow, sleet, or shine. I'm going to have to double check this, but I do remember hearing stories when I was little about a kitchen being in the school, which would make sense, especially for those kids that were coming from far away. There were also notebooks and pieces of chalk on the floor here when we were little. I remember we would collect them, and I saved a couple of them. You even had grade books of kids with their handwriting in it, with the teacher's corrections. As you see, everything is now dust, but at least I've saved as much as I could of it. So on that end of the school, there is another room. It's quite big. I think I referred to it as little before, but it's actually huge. And then those 2 rooms to the side are small. We assume that they were bathrooms, but I'm not exactly sure what they were used for. And as you can see, there's a number of rooms to the sides. It's huge. Again, it can give you an idea of how bustling and lively this village was back in the day. I think you guys can piece it together pretty well, but the missing floors here are what was covering the rooms downstairs. Remember when we walked in, there was no way to enter. These recently fell. Last time I entered was a few months ago, and it wasn't like this. We did get a bunch of rain over the past couple of months, and I'm assuming that that's when it fell. I didn't hear anything falling, so I'm not sure when it happened, but this is the state. Kids were required to wear uniforms, and you weren't allowed to go to school if your hair wasn't done. Remember, again, this is a place that not everyone got to go to. It was a privilege, so you had to show up in a respectful state. May sound a bit strict comparing to today's schools, even though I personally like uniforms. I think that there has to be a bit of control with how you're dressed and how you look in school. Just my opinion. More importantly, though, what is beautiful is that the relationship between student and teacher was excellent. My grandfather would tell us stories, again, about when he was in school. I really wish I had written them down, but what I do remember is that he respected his teachers tremendously. He would always talk about them as people who he looks up to. It must be very intimate, though, to have a teacher from your same village, right? You leave the school and then you see them. It would be hard not to be respectful towards one another. And actually, in regards to student-teacher relationships, there is still a very high level of respect that's associated with teachers. In Bulgaria, the first day of school is a huge, huge holiday. It's like Christmas, actually. It's crazy. Kids go to school in their best dresses or best uniforms and bring flowers to the teacher. If you don't bring flowers to your teacher, that's not a very good way to start. So Bulgaria still has a lot of this traditional nice relationship, I should say wholesome relationship between student and teacher. So the walking I'm doing here is very dangerous. I know I have done this many times before, so I feel pretty confident. But I'll admit, even watching this video afterwards, I'm kind of like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm about to just cross. Again, I think I'm daring myself. Lori, not the smartest thing, but that's my personality. I should probably not do that anymore, but I definitely will keep doing it. While I'm doing my Cirque du Soleil stunts, I'm going to just try to piece things together for you. We are on top of the door that we entered initially. So not the front door with the stairs that we walked. Yep, there I just passed. Good job, Lori. Anyway, this is right above the side entrance, and what you see across is a beautiful view of the village. We're looking directly in the direction of the river. That to the left is our house. To the right, you can't see it, but that's my grandpa's house. We're neighbors to the school. And down that road is the center. Directly behind us is the path towards the upper village. So hopefully you're getting a pretty good orientation of where we are. The tree that you see in front of the window that I had filmed a few seconds ago, yes, right there. Okay, that's my leg, but above my leg, that is a wild fig tree. So we don't eat these. We do have other figs that we eat. They're the most delicious things, but that's a wild fig tree that's been here since before I was born. Bulgaria is a very ancient land, so we do have all of those ancient fruits just growing randomly everywhere, namely figs, pomegranates, and many others. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I was carrying a cup earlier. That is actually pomegranate juice that we had made a couple of months ago from random pomegranates that we pick from trees. And while we're on the topic of fruits and trees and everything that our beautiful earth provides us, a lot of these trees you see in the background are linden trees. So we have a lot of linden trees in Bulgaria. It's one of the most popular teas that we drink. And you see rushes of grandmas and grandpas, and I mean young people too now, like me, that go and pick the linden and then have them for the year for some very delicious tea. Now back to the school. Halfway through making this video, I got very excited because somebody approached me with a very amazing, rare, old photo of students with their teachers. I'm going to include that at the end of the video so that you guys can see it. They're wearing the traditional Bulgarian nusi. Nusia is our traditional clothing, so every region of Bulgaria has their own nusia. They're these beautiful, colorful, handmade shirts and dresses, and I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I will include the pictures so that you can see. Those who are lucky have nusi passed on from their grandparents. Around the waist of the nusia, so the dress, we would have these things called paftis. So the plural is pafti, the singular is pafta, and it's this metal belt, which now is a very big treasure. I'm lucky enough that my grandparents passed down one to me. I'm going to probably put it in a picture frame and put it on my wall. Not before I put it on and take a couple of pictures inside of a beautiful rose field or lavender field. We're very well known for our Damascena roses. We have the most fragrant roses in the world. And lavender. Not many people know about the lavender, actually. Most people think they come mainly from France, but we also have our fair share of lavender. Bulgarian rose is such a big part of our culture that we actually have an entire holiday dedicated just to roses. It's actually coming up now on June 3rd, and it is a huge celebration. It's one of the best things in Bulgaria. So I'm going to make a separate video, I think, just on that. I really think you guys will enjoy it. But for now, time to get back to school. As we're leaving the school, I realize you guys are probably noticing all of the hay on the ground. That's because people used to watch their farm animals here after the school was abandoned, but when it was still safe to go inside. It did cause some issues with snakes. That's part of why the grandparents don't really like us going in the school, but I guess it's just another risk I'm taking. We also do have owls in the school, along with ljastovički, or in English, swallows. And now for the moment that at least I've been waiting for. Here is that photo I promised that we were able to dig up of the school with the students and teachers. Sadly, I don't know much about it yet. I have to do my research, but I'm sure my family members are here. And you can see clearly the Bulgarian traditional nusi, as well as it looks like some of the hunters in the background. This picture was taken between 1942 and 1943, and these are not all of the students, it's just a group. But once I get more information, I'll be sure to update you guys. For now, that's all I have. I really hope you guys enjoyed. As always, thank you so much for watching. I already have some new ideas on what my next video is going to be on, so all I can say is I hope to see you guys there.